Cool. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our eighth and final, very sad, uh, sync for TCL-65. I'm super duper excited. I'm gonna hand it off to Matt, who's gonna lead demos.
Yeah. So this one is unique in that we only have the one demo, but it's the demo. So yeah, I don't really have a lot to say in the build up. I saw that there's a lot of chatter in Slack yesterday, a lot of planning, which was really cool to see. And as usual, I love how transparent it's been for the last 2 months. It really just helps us know that you all are doing great working together. So I guess I can hand it over to whoever's going to be driving the demo. Unless there's any final things beforehand.
I'm ready to roll if we're all ready to roll. Good morning, everybody. Yay, yay, and sad. Also, lots of sad, lots of yay. So I'm gonna drive. Let me share my screen. It is the screen, yes. All right, I'm gonna try not to make you dizzy. I'm gonna flip to where we need to go real quick. Here we are. So, can everybody see my screen? This is our app. Welcome to Fresh Out of. It is a smart shopping cart that learns your buying habits over time. As a new user, you land on our homepage and you have the option to create a new list or enter a list that is already existing, which will make more sense in a minute. So we're new users. Yay. Let's make a list. Which brings us to this page. At the top of every page, our current list will always be displayed, and we have the option to copy that list. But let's start here with adding some items. So we're here on our new list. We're going to add some milk, and we want that in a week. So we're going to leave it. This is how it keeps track of like what we need and when we need it. So we need milk soon. We'll add some kittens in 14 days because I always want to get kittens. And we'll just do some coffee. Looks good in 30 days. Every time we add an item, it's confirming that the item was added to the database, which is cool. We know our list is real. After we've submitted some items on the list, we can go down to the bottom of the page and navigate to the list page, which then displays our list. We have a checkbox option. You can check it off if you've purchased it. Oh my God, I didn't purchase milk. You can uncheck it. It also displays them in, oh, my 30-day one didn't take place. Anyway, it displays it in the order we need them. From here, we also have the option to delete things from our list, which also deletes them from the back end. And you can copy the token, which is the name of our list, to your clipboard. And we're going to flip over here because I'm a junior and this is the best way. And we're going to copy and paste our list so we can share it with somebody. This is a list I like and I shared already. So I'm going to copy that list, go back to our website. We're still on this list. We copied it. We shared it with our friend. He's going to get some stuff on the way to the party. And we forgot we needed something else. We need weed. So we're going to have that there too, which is then added to our list. Now you can navigate back to the home page, which shows a different display. So now we've only got switch list, create a list. This is where we can use our copy and paste feature, or we can enter that list that I like that. Super fun list. We can also search our list for kittens, but we don't have kittens on this list. So we're going to just X out of that. We also can look for like pumpkins, but I'm spelling it wrong. So is it still on our list? It's not. I think it's supposed to be. Well, it's kind of searching. I'm not sure if it's doing exactly what it was doing, but I put in pump and it found pumpkins. So I feel good about that. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. That's it. This is something cool though. Like here I am, right? And I already have a list and I can create a new list, but I have those other things copy and pasted. If you really want, you can get rid of the token in storage, and it'll take us back to our home display. There we are. We're going to just ditch this. I don't know. I just think this looks cool. So when there's no token again, let me reload. I didn't practice enough. All right, cool. We're back at the thing. This is that list that I really love. And, you know, I've got a whole list of lists. So you can actually join another list if you already know the existing token. Up here, you'll notice that there is no token because I deleted it, but I've got this rad little list and I definitely want to go to this big giant guy and I don't need butter anymore. I ate too much butter. And that's our demo. I am going to hand this off to Isaiah. I'm going to get rid of this token too. You got the floor, Isaiah. Let me get back to our no token list.
Hey guys.
There we go. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry if there's background music. I'm in a coffee shop doing this. Yeah, so I just really quickly wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about the little bit of the deeper dive into the functionalities of the app, some of the technical stuff that goes into it and what makes it great. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was how we go about creating new lists and how we make sure that each list is specific to the user. So the way we do that is with the functionality that actually generates a unique token for each new list. And then that token is then assigned and stored in our database. And anytime a user wants to access a specific list, they can go ahead and just type in that token, and that'll allow you to get access. That token interacts with the database that we use, which is called the Firebase database, and it compares that token and fetches all the data that would be applicable. Next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was, as you guys can see, it's a smart shopping app. So how it actually runs as a smart shopping app is actually very, very interesting. It takes in the user's data. So every time the user checks off an item off the list, our app thinks about it like that is one purchase of the item. So essentially, when a user adds an item to the list, they can put an estimation of how often they think they're going to buy it. And we decided that we wanted to use that estimated purchase for the first couple of times that the user purchases the items. But then after 2 purchases, we felt like the app would have enough data in terms of how often that item was purchased, that it would then be able to give a estimated next purchase date. And it does that by comparing the amount of times it was purchased and then the last time it was purchased. And it uses that to create a next purchase date. And as you can see, the more you purchase an item, if you go into the list and you click it, it'll change how often it's purchased. And then the next part of our app is after an item is purchased and we have the next purchase date. As you can see here, it will be given a label. So we have our app set to give labels to when it's purchased. So we have labels such as soon, kind of soon, not so soon, and even overdue. What's cool about our app is, which we'll touch on more in the design, but it actually changes colors based on how soon it is. So as you can see on the top, we have some items that are supposed to be purchased very soon. Those are a darker orange. And then the items that are to be purchased kind of soon are a lighter orange. And it goes that way depending on the spectrum because there's a couple more categories as well. And we have our app set up as well to organize based on top tier meeting. So the items that are the most soon are going to be at the top, and the items that are not as soon are going to be at the bottom. And if a user has an item that they no longer need because they haven't purchased it in a while, then that item would be all the way at the bottom. And final thing I wanted to touch on. Actually, final thing I want to touch on was, and then when the user is done, they have obviously in our app an ability to switch list, which when they click the switch list button allows them to take out their list and enter in a new one. And it's just an easy way if someone had a shopping list and they wanted to share with a friend, they could easily just tell their friends, oh, this is my list ID, and then they can go in and enter and interact with their list as well. But yeah, so I'll conclude our technical and functionality talk, and I can pass it on to Lydia. If there's any questions, let me know.
All right. Shannon, could you switch when you have a minute to light mode? We have both the dark mode and light mode.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to talk briefly about design. So we chose to have an application that is relatively modern in layout and design, has a little bit of a vintage feel, and is sort of bright and zesty. And so we have these intense colors, which are different. There's the orange for dark mode and yellow as a contrast for light mode, mostly to maintain readability on the list page. Since the list page, it orders the items and changes the way that they're the intensity of the color, so that the top is brighter. The things that are filtered to the top show up brighter, which gives an impression of how urgently they need to be replaced, but isn't very precise. We also have the text to clarify, so that you can see that even if the difference between the colors isn't noticeable in whatever light you're using the app in. And we made an effort throughout to incorporate semantic elements and accessibility to address accessibility concerns. There's probably some room for improvement there, but we did go in from the very beginning thinking about how to make our app accessible to a variety of users. Like if you click search items, if you click the label specifically, it will act the same as if you clicked the box. And that's true for most of the items. So if you click, for instance, in one of the checkbox areas, if you click soon or the name, any of those will check anywhere across that whole line except for delete, will check off the checkbox. And we have relatively large clickable elements to make the site relatively easy to interact with, even on a phone. And I think you can pass this on to Patty.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll be concluding just by kind of talking about like what's next for fresh out of what we imagine to come in the future of this app. And I think like that really like lends well off of what Lydia was talking about with accessibility. I think as a dev team, that's a big takeaway for us. Like that's important to us and has been kind of like a part of the conversation for each feature that we've built out. And also like I'm big central to like where our interest is and what we want to like develop our skills in. And so I think like what's next, like everything that comes next for this application, like as a dev team, will be paired with like how we can incorporate accessibility and consider differently abled audiences. And I think also like expand like our testing skills for accessibility. So that's like a big piece of what's next. And then the other enhancements that kind of like are important to us that we've talked about throughout is having a more personalized user experience. Feels like a really natural like next step. Like we want you to be able to see the lists you've created and the lists that you've shared and have been shared with you. And so that is like a feature we've talked about incorporating in the like in how our app is already set up, which is with local storage. But I think it's also really natural to consider it as in implementing authentication and having like the ability to log in. And so that would be what's next. Certainly like a conversation and a decision would be made there. Yeah, and I also think just kind of like expanding on like how mobile friendly it is, making sure that it is works with mobile devices, which is also a piece of just like making it more and more accessible. Some people don't have computers, but also like some people prefer or need to use their mobile devices and touch screens, and that's something that we haven't totally built out and looked into, and so that would be a big next step for us. And yeah, I think that is the big takeaways we wanted to share with you, the big next steps we wanted to share with you, and I think that opens us up for questions. Thank you.
Nice work. It does look great. Like Mike was saying, it looks and works great. Love the branding. Love the fact that you have the light and dark mode, and that you paid so much attention to accessibility. That's really awesome. I'd love to hear more about y'all's your process over the last couple of weeks. So, up until that point of the project, like you're kind of fed what work you need to get done each week, and then it's like this total shift to where it's all sort of self-organized. So, what was that like for you? Like, was that pretty comfortable because you knew everybody, or was that like still like, oh, how do we get started? Like, how did that go, that collaboration?
I think we struggled with that a bit. I think we would have benefited from like someone being in charge who had experience with assigning tasks and design and things like that. We did it. I mean, we did it for sure, but it was challenging.
Mm-hmm.
To build on that, I think going from where we constantly had a very clear task and our partners were set, it was very cut and dry and simple. And then going from that, it was like, oh, okay, well, how do we make our new tasks and how do we go about all that? But I thought what helped the most is we just kind of all spoke, and we were all very active about speaking to each other and just being open. And we ended up, getting, like Lydia said, everything done because we just had to essentially realize, like, wait, we can create our own issues. Patty put a bunch of issues in, Lydia put some issues, Shannon put issues in. And then we realized, wait, we can treat this essentially how we treated it these past couple of weeks, was create our issues, we create our feature branches, and we speak to each other on Slack, we schedule Zoom meetings. So it's almost like we knew what to do the whole time, and then we just had to kind of do it ourselves.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that sounds kind of like what I would expect. It's like unless there's somebody, you happen to have somebody in the group who's like done project management or something, it's like a whole skill set of its own, right? So sounds like because you all had built up, trust and good, like kind of working patterns and stuff, you were able to kind of like, oh, well, we need to adjust, but then you figured it out and you made it happen. So yeah, well done. Congratulations.
Thanks. I also just wanted to add that I think the 2 weeks was also like a piece of it because, when we were talking like, oh, what do we want to do to finish this out? I mean, we could have all dedicated 2 whole weeks to designing it. So it was like, how do we make sure we get the things that are important to us done in the time frame was like, I think of a piece of that like discussion. Yeah. But I also think I agree we worked well together. There was like a lot of communication, and we figured out how to make decisions synchronously and asynchronously quickly.
Mhm. That's great, because it sounds like y'all had you had some discussions around scope, like how much can we realistically get done. And that's I mean, I know like Mike at Zapier, like that's like a big thing, is like if an engineer can actually say, hey, if we do it this way, it will take less time, or like we maybe skip over this whole piece of work by focusing in this area. That's a really valuable skill for an engineer to be able to bring to those scoping discussions with a product person. So,
I think that that's bringing up scoping was like something that I thought about right away when they were like, okay, we're gonna go turn you out into the wild for 2 weeks, organize this. My thought as like a sole person over here going like, oh, let's meet as a team. My first thought was, what are our skills? Like, who knows what? Does anybody crush CSS? Like, do we have a wizard? Do anyone with like, what kind of experience do we have other than writing code? And then my thought was like, cool, these are the skills that we have. Like, what can we actually do in the time that we have? Because I felt right away that it would be super easy for time to run away with us, because there was still like functionality things, and like we need to think of a design and all of that. And I think that as a team, we did really good communicating and being like humble, like what we know and what we don't know, which is super helpful. And then everyone just, I felt, was committed to figuring it out. And I think that we all actually do have some management and production skills, because we managed it and we produced what we have. And I'm super proud to be part of this team. We did good.
Yes. Nice job. Well done. Love it.
Yeah, I thank you guys. You all did absolutely amazing. And yeah, and I saw within this that there's like some extra functionality, right? Like switching lists, so you can copy a token, light mode, dark mode. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you decided what were the extra things that you wanted to do. And then within these last 2 weeks, you had all of this time and a bunch of tasks. How did you go about prioritizing one thing over another? And was there anything that didn't make the cut?
I can speak to this a little. I think like early on, like kind of right after we were like released, we had a meeting where we created issues, and then we prioritized them for what needed to be done each week. So we kind of picked like really like our top, 4 tickets essentially, and then we're assigning them. We did more than those 4, but that was kind of like how we started. Was we made choices, and then we visually prioritized them and then assigned them as we could. And so I think like how we made that choice was really kind of about like, yeah, just again what people have said, what was possible, I mean, I think maybe we could have done a more personalized user experience. That was a big feature that was important to us, and we talked about a lot. Like, we want to be able to know what all of our lists are. But I think considering like design and working out the bugs that we already had, that was something we decided was like an extended, we'll put that on the back burner for now. And so, yeah, I don't know if anybody else has something they want to add to the topic.
I can add to that. I think that what was really cool when we did have that meeting, we made all those tickets. I feel like we picked those additions, the switch list, the join list, the copy list, because remember we were like really into the vibe of like the user using this app. And we came up with these because we were like, well, how do we know what list we're on? Or like, as being a user. So those things that we made were so important to all of us, and it made so much sense, and it came about because we wanted the app to make sense using it, and it kind of that didn't make sense, like you have to be like a developer to understand what you're doing with it. So those changes, I think, were awesome and made the app funner to use, right?
Nice, awesome. And similar, I think, to what Andrew was saying about like scope and the ability to manage that is something really valuable in an engineer. Also, like that ability to prioritize and pick out what's the important things, and then kind of have those discussions about what to work on. Those are also really, really valuable things, and often come up in interviews. Like, tell me about a time when you had to prioritize multiple tasks. So this is an example. Yeah, and great work.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, I love how quickly you did make it your own. I think even before we got to like the final 2 weeks, you were already thinking about how could we shape this to our unique personality of the team. And one thing I was gonna mention from before is, Patty, like you kind of gave yourselves a head start too, because you were already creating issues while like before we even got to those final 2 weeks. So you're like seeing things pop up and you're already creating issues for yourself. So when you did get into that part that was kind of like your own at the end, you already had things that you had been doing without anyone even saying that, quote, you could. You're already like, yeah, this needs to be improved, gonna create a ticket for that. So you already kind of giving the team a head start, which just was awesome to see. I loved like the initiation. Yeah, you know the word. yeah, the motivation to do that, the self-drive. So yeah, I'm mad at that.
Thank you. I think also it's like just kind of like thinking about really part of our approach was we decided on really an MVP for the 2 weeks that we had. And so that was the big thing we did like right off the bat was like, there's a lot that we would like to do. There's a lot that's possible, but what makes this a functioning application for a user right now? Like what are the most immediate things we need to do so it does is like a complete application, because there were some gaps, I think. And so we really addressed those and stayed within our MVP. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna drop. I'll let y'all do the rest of your meeting, but well done. Really excited for you to all like just I mean, it sounds like you've learned some things, you made some really nice connections, you kind of have some more experience to draw on when you go into your interviews for those jobs and all that kind of stuff that you're looking forward to. Hope to see you over at Career Lab. And I think we're all connected on LinkedIn and stuff, but one of the ways that I can be helpful over there is if you see somebody in my network, like you're applying to a certain company or something, and I have a connection over there, I'm more than happy. I have no shame about just like cold emailing people about you and like trying to get them to actually look at your application instead of just treating it as one of the thousands that come through for whatever role. So introductions, recommendations, all those kinds of things. So yeah, let me know how I can be helpful, and let's get you those jobs. But otherwise, yeah, well done. I'm really proud of all of you for the work you put in.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming to our demo. That was such a cool surprise. And without being a totally emotional lunatic, thank you so much for starting Collab Lab. It's been a lot to me.
Oh, that's great. That's nice to hear. Yeah. It was like yeah, we started it just kind of like just before the pandemic happened. And like through those first few months of the pandemic, it was like just like an anchor for me to like know that I had this thing I could do that was kind of making a difference, So and now it's 250 developers have come through, and yeah, it's really amazing. So thanks for saying that. All right. Take care, y'all.
Thanks, Andrew.
See ya.
Thank you, Andrew.
Great. Any kind of final things. I think we have our final retrospective that we can move to next. But if there's any kind of final things about the demo, you all did great. I loved how you incorporated everyone into that. I was gonna ask that, what's next for the app question, and then Patty stole that from me. So yeah, any kind of final thoughts on, because presenting is also a skill that you have all learned during this. Shannon, stop, you made me tear up. I have the same feelings.
I know, I don't even want to think about it. Like, this is way too much. This is way too much. I'm sorry.
Yeah, any kind of final thoughts on final piece of the app, or how did you enjoy kind of putting together that final presentation? It's fine if not, but.
Yeah, I will say just in terms of that we all had a piece. Shannon, wasn't able to watch the other final presentation videos, but it was reported back that a lot of them only one person spoke and demoed. And I really appreciated about our team that it just was like unanimous, no like hesitation. We were like, no, everyone's gonna speak. And then we kind of like split up the work of that. But I liked that was, I don't know, not even a question for us as a team. It made a lot of sense.
It really did. I think it's so awesome because like we didn't even know what we were doing organizing this whole thing. And then here we are with like our vibe as a team of us all doing everything and helping each other. And then it's like the videos we watched was one person. So we just sit and think about, well, how do we chunk it out? Like, does that even make sense? Like, but we did, and it's so cool. We all want to talk about it, and I'm proud of us because I was like, I don't know how we're gonna split it up, but we'll figure it out, and we did. It looks so good.
It was very smooth.
Yeah.
Like this over these last couple of weeks, we've all like done so many demos. It was like Mike said in the comments, like going from a super simple demo to like this demo. Like I feel like we are so confident that like we could switch 4 people and we could do it smoothly. Yeah, that'd be good.
I was going to ask you guys, and I realized maybe not during your presentation because I didn't give you a heads up, but I wanted you to like take a look at your experience over the last 8 weeks and find a time where there was a challenge that you solved as a group and chunk out what was the challenge, how did you approach it, and like how did you solve it, and framing that, like practice saying it out loud a few times because you're going to get asked that for sure. And I just thought there was a lot of really good opportunities here, and I didn't want to be like, do it now, but it's a cool chance.
We talked about having that in our presentation.
You kind of did.
Well, we were intentionally trying to spin it as positive.
Yeah.
Like not the term challenge. Like,
yeah.
That was a conversation we had because we got the feedback, someone got the feedback that it should be like I forget the term. Oh, a pitch. And so less of like a retrospective, I think. So we were like, we don't want to make it seem like we struggled, even though like certainly there were struggles.
So what you're saying, Nicole, is while we were all doing our demo, you saw multiple opportunities like in an interview where we could chunk something out to like, this is the struggle.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you had pre-addressed it, right? Like Hattie was saying, you already addressed a lot of the things where I was like, oh, that's a situation that came up that they could have used like a STAR interview method to sort of describe like the situation, the task, the action, and the result, which just gives you this really nice, like if you're anxious like me, and I'm like this much anxious and I care like this much, I just need like that structure or that practice talking about things. And you guys have had some challenges that you all kind of kicked butt at handling through your communication, through your interpersonal skills, through your coming to office hours, through your, oh, this doesn't work, let's try it this way. Like you've had so many great examples of how phenomenal you are as developers, but also as problem solvers that you could totally use and should use.
Awesome. Well, I feel like a lot of this conversation lends itself well to retro stuff. So why don't we jump over into that? And here's a a link to the retro board. And we can take let's take like 5 minutes to throw some things in there. And then we'll chat about them. That sound good? Down to the last minute, by the way. All right. Everyone good to jump into talking about these? Yeah? Cool. All right, let me share my screen. Wait, here it is. Cool. So yeah, let's start over in the appreciation column. And if you have multiple tickets in the column, can just do them all at the same time. That's cool. Shannon, do you want to start us off? Tell us about this one.
I appreciated how well we all talked to each other, helped each other, and collaborated. I can't imagine how hard this would have been with like a group of people that didn't do everything that we did. Like, I'm so grateful, and I learned a lot from you, Patty, Isaiah, and Lydia. I really did. I'm so stoked. So I'm super appreciative of that.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and second that this group was like very just chill and easy, right? Like it was kind of ridiculous. As mentors, it felt like there wasn't a ton that you were not a challenge. So yeah. Cool, Matt.
Yeah, I just put kind of an overall thank you to everyone involved, participants, mentors, Andrew and the whole team for creating it and making it very easy to go through. But yeah, particularly yeah, Isaiah, Lydia, Patty, Shannon. You really came wanting to like squeeze every bit out of this experience, and like it showed. And that's really, like Mike is saying, makes our lives easier as mentors, because we don't feel like we're having to kind of, keep on you. Like you signed up for this, you wanted to do this, and you showed up every week to do your very best. And it was great. Yeah, I really loved being a part of that. And yeah, so thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool.
I have to go fast because I'll cry too. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here every single time. You guys are great. You brow your best selves. I just love that everybody turns the fuck up. I think it's awesome. And I think you guys deserve everything that you got from it. So congratulations.
Nice. Then Anonymous, if you want to.
Oh yeah, that was me. I didn't know the whole putting the name on it. But yeah, I just wanted to appreciate. I have a couple I wrote in appreciation, but I wrote that one, and it was just Lydia and Shannon. Just they really killed design stuff. I know that we all worked on it, but they put a lot of work and hours in it, and I appreciate that for sure. And then in addition to that, my other one was whole team. We just constantly being positive. There was just never any pushback. There was never really anyone who was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this or whatever." Everyone was just willing to, really go above and beyond and challenge themselves, and I thought that was awesome.
Nice. Awesome. All right, Patty. Mute possibly.
Sorry. Yeah, the just kind of again piggybacking here. It was like a really smooth, it just felt really seamless even when there were challenges and struggles. I just felt like everyone was kind of like, okay, yeah, like I can do that. And even like this weekend, just like a appreciation for Lydia that I didn't write down. It was we met on Saturday, and there was like a clear bug in our app, and it was we were all like, we can't do it. And so Lydia was stepped up and it was like, I don't know, I just felt like that throughout the project. It was like when someone couldn't because of time, and we were all really respectful about time, it was just like no questions asked, no tears. Other people would step up and be like, I can handle that. And so yeah, like working on a team like that felt like really mature. It's just like, oh, I feel like I've arrived in some way, like I get to be on a team like this now that I'm older and like an engineer, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so same appreciation as what other people have said. It was a really smooth collaboration experience, even while we learned how to collaborate in this way.
Awesome. Yeah. I think similar theme for me. I feel like everyone's been so supportive, self-aware and engaged. And one of I think I wrote it down at one point that in office hours, Shannon, we were kind of trying to I don't know, we are talking through some of the things, and Shannon had some changes. And I remember Shannon said, I want to step back to help you step up. And oftentimes what will happen in groups, I think, will be like someone may feel a need to kind of like dominate like there's not a lot of give and take. And I feel like that was kind of emblematic of this group, that there was just a lot of give and take, and one person didn't want to just steal the show or anything like that. It was really, really great. So yeah, really appreciate that. And let's see, Patty. Sorry, I didn't group these together. But I also just, talk about all your appreciation for the mentors. So
I know, I was gonna say. Yeah, mentorship was also really seamless, I think, for me. I felt like I kept writing this, but it sounded bad. Like I felt supported beyond what was necessary. And that just to say, like, there was not that again, I didn't want to write this because I was like, this isn't phrased right. But I just felt like there was more support than I needed in a way that was really good. Like I always knew like I could reach out or like ping you, or like, I mean, I think that came from our dev team too. Like we could send messages in Slack, and there was always somebody who could like jump in and like help troubleshoot. And then also just, yeah, I think being celebrated and receiving like positive feedback is super important. There's this like fact I learned as a teacher, which is like basically like there's evidence that shows for every constructive criticism you receive, it lands okay if you're receiving 7 pieces of positive criticism, positive feedback, I mean. And so I think about that all the time on teams and in my life, like always want to be giving people positive feedback, because in the moment that you need to give like a constructive criticism, you're kind of like paying into your bank for it. I don't know. That was like a little bit of a tangent. But what I mean is you all did a really great job at giving us positive feedback all along the way. And I think like, even though there was never a need for constructive criticism, or maybe there was, or maybe you feel like you did, but had there been like that need, I think it would have like worked really well and been smooth, because we knew that we had felt really validated by you, and we knew that you saw like our potential and our like strengths. I hope that made sense. I feel like I rambled.
no, thank you. And I love that idea. Crazy. Great. Okay, Lydia.
Yeah, just it's been really nice to get positive feedback when we've been doing a good job. Like that's really helpful. And it helps us like sort of put into context that the work we've been putting in is paying off in the way that we expected it to.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna try, because we also have a little bit of a time crunch. Let's try to lump these two really opposing columns together. So you can talk about what went really well and then what could be improved. Slash it didn't come in here, but also what I learned. So yeah, let's start off with Shannon.
So real quick, I think that what could improve, or what I can improve, is just learning more about managing time in a design situation. Like, over time experience will help, because I'll know how to design stuff. But yeah, like just learning the process and managing time. I think that we could have done better, obviously. Is that it? I think so. Oh yeah. And despite not having all the skills that we needed, I think we did really great. And I also would not have gotten this far without you guys as mentors. Like I always knew there was someone there who had my back. So let me not waste time. Next.
Thanks. Okay. Matt.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of mine has been mentioned. So I guess for the one what went well, I'll just highlight the lean on other strengths part. I think Shannon even mentioned that during the presentation, and that was just like really cool. So like whose strengths is in what category, just lean on that, and that's a really great way to prioritize and get to the what we need to do. And then yeah, my what could be improved are kind of random. I know Shannon was saying that she didn't really come across a lot of merge conflicts during the experiment, and so I was like, it's kind of hard to put people in that, but maybe there's a creative way we could put people in more of those situations so they could practice that. And then I know during the presentation, maybe the transition to the final 2 weeks sounds like there's like a little bit of like, wait, what do we do? And so maybe I think that was part of my issues going into that. So maybe I could have helped with some of that clarity a little bit better. So those are my two.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks. All right, Nicole. Mute.
How do I merge all these together? Yeah, I just thought you guys were super professional. I communicated incredibly well. I think you communicate better than sometimes my team does at work. Which made it an absolute pleasure to be here, and I hope they learn from you. And what could be improved is developers in professional situations could improve by learning skills from you guys. So
Cool. Awesome. All right, Lydia.
All right. I think our last 2 weeks when we were making decisions about what to build and what not to build, that went really well. Like we talked about the adding the ability to add multiple lists and save them. And we sort of planned out that whole thing. And then we're like, let's not build it, which was awesome. So we took it so seriously, and we really thought it out and then made a decision based on the amount of time we had. And I also thought that it wouldn't have been bad for our group to be less easygoing and have more conflict. I think that could have been a learning experience for all of us. And it probably would have made it more difficult in some ways. It might have streamlined our project in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And sometimes some conflict can be really good. But yeah, so I think that the group had just such awesome transparent communication. Also the app looks and works great, has extra functionality. And also that demo at the end was just buttoned down, professional. I want to invest. Yeah. All right, Isaiah.
Yeah, so just to kind of sum all mine up. Yeah, basically like everyone said, I just thought the main benefit and pros of this group was just everything. We're so kind, and everyone was so gave them some no egos that they were doing this. And yeah, and of course that brings its own issues. Like Lydia said, when oh, maybe we all need to look on walking that line of when we also need to, take some lead. But overall, I would always think the kind of group where everyone is just willing to collaborate and be open. But to improve is just project management. It's kind of those last 2 weeks, kind of just streamline that a bit. Overall, great.
Awesome. Cool. All right, Patty.
I think what a lot of people have said, I would add just to that for me, the collab in terms of what went well, the collab experience offers it just feels really different from everything's so project based when you're an early career engineer, and I think there is a threshold to how much of that you need, and then there's this piece which is obviously a project, but I think it's more about the collaboration and learning how to work on a development team, and also the flow of adding to like an application that is like yeah, like shared and deployed and whatever. And so I think like I got a job at the beginning of the Collab Lab, and I think those pieces were like the gap from my boot camp to getting a job. And so I think that's like super important. And then even as like now an employed person, like all of these like exercises are like have still been really valuable. And like I like that I got the chance to do them here before like having them come up at my job. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And I always feel like it's yeah, it's cool. This is a nice spot to make mistakes and like learn all of the things. It's great. Okay. Try to do this last one. My apologies if we go over a little bit, but I also want to hear what's up for everyone next. So Shannon.
What's next for me?
Yeah.
I am definitely gonna go and crush Career Lab because I want a job. That's what's next. Next is me finding a role as an actual like developer and not like doing IT, telling people how to find their shit on their computer. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm also gonna like probably make this my own project and put it on my portfolio like right when we're done. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting a job.
Awesome. Cool. All right, Nicole, what are you up to next?
Well, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. But I also want to support you guys. So expect LinkedIn referrals. If there's anybody that you see that I know, ask me. Of course, I'll introduce you. Practice interviews were really helpful for me. I had a bunch of people who helped me practice my interviews for specific companies, especially. People were incredible, and I'd love to give that back. Don't be ashamed to ask. Same thing. I had people help me present my take-home interviews. Thought that was insanely helpful. Would love to do that for you guys. If you can think of anything else, pep talks, I'm happy to.
Awesome. And Matt.
Yeah, similar. I will be working on my referrals and trying to make them unique for each person, so it's not copy and paste. And then I am doing job fit interviews, I think, for Career Lab. So if any of you fall into my group that I'm, or whatever, the people I'm interviewing, I look forward to that. References, if you need any, you're thinking of who to need, happy to offer those. And then I guess personally, just working and looking forward to the holidays, just hitting up all the pumpkin patches right now. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and similar to the other mentors, would like to support y'all in any way possible. Like Andrew said, if you see someone where we have like shared connection at a company, let me know. And also if you see roles open up at Zapier or anything like that, can refer you internally. And yeah, and then I'll just be kind of continuing to work on my own career growth as an engineer. Also have a few fun trips coming up next weekend, going to San Francisco and then going to Peru in December. So yeah, should be good. Isaiah.
Oh yeah, for me, so this group actually was in a good time in my journey as a developer because I'm kind of working on finishing out my 100-hour project for my personal thing, and then once I'm done with that, I'm actually kind of rounding out my portfolio and all that stuff so that I can start applying jobs. So I'm super excited to do Career Lab. It's like it's a perfect time for me, and yeah, and I appreciate all of the mentors and being willing to help with all that.
Oh, awesome. And Lydia.
Yeah, I'll be doing Career Lab and looking for work because I also want a job. And I'm really looking forward to being able to use the collaboration skills that I've picked up doing this in the workplace because I've been learning on my own. I've been pretty isolated, so this has been a big change in the way that I do software development type practice and work, and it's helped me build a lot of skills. So thank you.
Patty, bring us home.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, I'd love to stay involved with Collab Lab. I think it's really cool, and I love kind of like the mission. That felt really meaningful to me when I was looking for a job and was like interviewing with just a bunch of white dudes and like couldn't, didn't really feel like I was like seeing myself represented, in the field. That the mission is like centered around bringing in underrepresented developers, getting them in. And then oh yeah, totally want to be available to all of you to just like continue being connected, mentors included. And then being an engineer, I got a job. Feels totally life-changing and wild. So I feel really stoked. I'm working on my second month now, and I love it. So
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, this is, just last Sync's always tearjerker. This time no exception. But yeah, so this is our final sync, but we're still all in the Slack stuff. Let's all keep in touch. And yeah, join the Career Lab if you haven't already. And thank you all so much. You've been an excellent group. Yeah, cool.
woohoo!
Yeah, this is really sad, but I'm so grateful. I'm gonna miss this every Sunday. I am definitely hitting all three of you mentors up because I need a job and I am got so many questions. My resume sucks. I want interview tips. So you're all three my new best friends, just in case you didn't know, because I can't handle saying goodbye. And so I'll just have to stalk all three of you. And of
Love
course,
it.
the rest of the team on, but mentors, wow, man, you guys really changed my life. Like I learned so much shit that I would never have learned unless you guys volunteered your time to this. So thank you so much.
So nice to hear. Well, thank you all, and please, do all stay in touch, and I'll see you all in Slack still. Yeah. All right. See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Sure.